And we are up. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. And welcome to the Mirthquake Storyteller Smackdown, where epic tales and iconic heroes slug it out. Tonight, Harry Potter wanding up against Percy Jackson. Will Harry zap Percy into the underworld, or will Harry just get like really wet or something? I'm not sure. So I thought, will he drown him or some such thing? I don't even know. Here's our crew of killer creatives to talk about all this kind of carnage and all that kind of stuff. I want to pop in the chat real quick too, just to say hi to everybody. Jesse was first. Greetings, sir. William, nice to have you here. And let's go around the room, right? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you for your author origin story in about 30 seconds. And which character from either franchise would you most like to hang out with for an afternoon? Right? Trinity, why don't you take it away? Go first.
I get to go first. I'm Trinity Cunningham. My author origin story, I guess I didn't always know I wanted to write. I always knew I loved writing, and I got into screenwriting and doing films because I always loved movies. So I love this. And one day just said, I'm going to write a book. And I did. And it happened. And it surprised me. It surprised everyone around me. So that's my origin story. If I was going to hang out with anybody, I think I'm going to pick a random obscure one because, why not? I like Ginny. I think she'd be cool.
Ginny would be cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
I would. I'd hang out with Ginny. I'd hang out with Dobby. I think he'd be like a party animal.
I don't know.
I don't know. Olin, let's go to you, sir. Author origin story, and which one of the characters would you most like to go shopping at a mall with?
Author origin story. I pretty much started because I was bored in church at like 7 or 8. Parents gave me a pencil and a piece of paper, and I started doing short stories in the middle of church at like night instead of drawing. I don't know why. Really have no idea.
That's okay.
It's just what happened. I started that. It just went from there. Most that I'd like to go shopping at a mall with, maybe just Percy Jackson, because we probably wouldn't be there long.
Yeah.
He's a skater boy. He doesn't want to do anything. So, I mean, like, hey, we're here. We'll probably go to like Hot Topic and leave.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Hensley, sir. Welcome. And give me your author origin story and which one of these characters you would like to be paired with during a zombie apocalypse. Off you go.
Wait, so I'm David Hensley. My author origin story, I was a poor Colorado hillbilly that lived in a single wide trailer at like 7,000 feet elevation that ran away to join the Navy. And after 20 years of being in the Navy, retired, looked in the mirror, and there was this old guy staring back at me. And I thought, well, gee, if I'm going to be a writer, which I've wanted to be since I was 10, I better get on it. And so I submitted a short story to 3 Ravens, and lo and behold, it got picked up. I was expecting a shoebox full of rejections, and instead I got published. And so here I am.
Excellent. All right. Who's got your back in a zombie apocalypse? Moaning Myrtle, right? Moaning Myrtle?
No. For zombie apocalypse, I'm taking Hagrid all the way, man.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Some zombie stomping action right there.
And my man, KB, greetings, sir. It's good to see you. And let's go like this. Your author origin story and which one of these characters would you most like to chill with over a beer?
That's funny because my author origin story is pretty much started with a beer. No, I got a pretty serious back injury at work, and to keep myself from going crazy, everybody told me to write. And then I went to a convention and started talking to, there's a guy I saw sitting at a table by himself with a bunch of books in front of him. I brought a drink over there. We talked for about 8 hours straight. I told him about the project I was working on. He told me to send it to him, and within 2 days I had a sample contract, and it's just been going ever since then.
Right, nice.
And as far as having a beer with somebody, I'd have to say Luna because it would never be boring.
You know what? That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if you were hanging out at a pub, it also wouldn't be boring if you brought Nagini. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So don't mind me. I just have this giant demon snake or whatever that is. So all right. So listen, I want to dig into Harry Potter versus Percy Jackson, but there is some obvious things we got to get out of the way with these two franchises. The first of which is one is clearly superior. And I don't think anybody can really argue that. There's nobody out there that's just like Percy's way better and totally not derivative. And especially like the movies, like nobody's out there just like Percy Jackson movies are way better than if you like this just doesn't work that way. So that out of the way, the characters are pretty awesome. And Percy Jackson, one of the compelling things is you've got characters based on mythology. And so those characters already have a history. They already have stories and all those kinds of things, which sort of weave into it, which makes it compelling to have characters fighting it out. So one of the things I want to ask all of you just to see is just give me your take on just a broad comparison of these two franchises, what you think of them, how you were first exposed to them, and just like as a one-to-one comparison, what are your thoughts, right? KB, I'll bounce it down to you. Like, what do you think when you compare these two?
Harry Potter, I got introduced to when Goblet of Fire came out, the book. My neighbor had it. He said his grandparents bought it for him, and it was too big, and he didn't want to read it, so he gave it to me. And I read it, and instantly made my grandma go buy me the first three books so I could see what was going on.
Yep.
And you know, I was at the midnight release of the last book, and I had the entire thing read before the sun came up the next day. So,
Nice.
Percy Jackson, my mom and my sister actually got me the third book from that series for my birthday one year,
Mm.
and I loved it. So I went and bought the rest of the series, and I read the entire series within a couple weeks. The first 5 books, not the 30 that are out now.
Right.
But one interesting fact about both of these series is I've read the entirety of both series out loud to my wife and kids,
Oh, wow.
like completely. So
Nice. All right.
when I answer questions, I'll probably be thinking books instead of movies
That's
because
okay. Yep.
I had to watch the Percy Jackson movie today just to remember who all was in it. So
Yep. And my condolences, truly.
yeah, I fell asleep.
So there's that. Dave, let's bump it to you. Just broad view of these two. How were you first exposed to them, and what are your thoughts comparing on a one-to-one on these?
Well, so I got exposed to Harry Potter as J.K. Rowling was releasing them because my kids were into them. Like I'm old enough that my kids are in their 30s now, early 30s, but still 30s. So I get exposed to Harry Potter that way. Percy Jackson, my nephew, so I had to kind of pick it up and see what he was getting into. And then of course there's movie franchise on both sides. Obviously the Harry Potter movie franchise is far superior.
No doubt.
And I'm really more of a fan of for me, I really like the Harry Potter stuff better because it's not. I mean, you're not borrowing from mythology.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, there's mythological stuff that happens, but it's its own thing created from old cloth, and I like it better because of that.
By far the 2-book series I've reread the most. So Olin, what about you? Compare these on a broad one-to-one, and how did you first encounter Lightning Thief and the Harry Potter franchise? Like, what were your first experiences with them?
My first experience with Harry Potter was the first movie that came out. Didn't know about it until then. Fun fact, I walked past J.K. Rowling at a book signing, and I didn't even know who they were. It was like before the whole blow up, so like there was really nobody there waiting either. So like it was like weird because after
who's this lady?
Yeah, they were at like a Walden Books at the time in the mall.
Oh my goodness!
And like I walked by and said J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. I'm like, what's that? I just kept going to go to karate and all that. But the movies came out. It's when I first experienced the Lightning Thief. I don't know what I was doing when I read that. Like, I don't know what got me into it. I just picked it up, and then suddenly I'm reading the whole Harry Potter series, then the Heroes of Olympus, then the Kane Chronicles, and all the whole series, Magnus Chase. And I just didn't stop there. And then when the last book came out is when I finally read the books for Harry Potter. And I read them all basically in 7 days.
Wow. Yeah.
I was out of a job at the time. So it's just like first book,
dive into the story
once a day.
Yeah.
And then personally, I just like the Percy Jackson series a lot more than a Harry Potter series.
Yep.
Maybe because I like Percy Jackson as a character better because sarcastic kid. Like I know it's a little bit less everything, but the characters I like more.
Gotcha.
So
all right. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good because now we can get into some fights. I like it. So Trinity, what about you? Just a broad-based one-to-one comparison on these, and how were you first launched into these two worlds?
Well, Harry Potter came out when I was in school growing up, and I wasn't actually allowed to watch them because the whole witchcraft and wizardry thing, and family not really knowing what that was about. So
Jacqueline, same thing. Can't do that, right?
Yeah. So I mean, my parents were like strict on it, but they just suggested, and I was that kid that was like, Mom and Dad said no. So I read them in my 20s, and I loved them. I went through all the books, and then I refused to watch the movies until I'd read the books. And then like I watched the movies after, and it was a great adaptation. And then the Percy Jackson, I'd watched the movies before, and I liked the movies, but then I'd never read the books until you were looking for people for this. And I was like, well, that sounds like so much fun.
Research. Yeah.
So I read the books in a week, a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed them. Actually, I liked them a lot. And then now, like, I've rewatched the movies since, and I was like, oh no, the movies are crap. Like, they just suck compared to.
They're not great. Yeah, no. they're not.
They kind of crammed everything into.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, as authors, you're always you a lot of times you think about like, oh man, if my book was made into a movie, like who would play the character? Nobody's sitting there thinking, if my books were made into movies, who would be the first character in the first movie, and then who would they have to recast because the movie was really terrible to somebody else in the second movie?
Oh.
I'm like, nobody wants that.
Yeah. No. As far as like comparing which ones I like better, I really enjoyed Harry Potter better. I think it's a little bit more of like, first of all, that I read it earlier, it's a bit more nostalgic for me that way, but also because I think that like when I was comparing in my mind, I was thinking, because I had this in mind now, I was thinking like, well, which one do I like better? I think I just like the serious tone of Harry Potter a little more, where I know Owen says he likes the sarcastic kind of witty, and it is fun. It's definitely like, I felt like it read for a younger audience is what I felt. But they were both fantastic, but just Harry Potter, I like a little bit more of that serious tone.
For me at the time that these were coming out, I was just living small town, northern New Hampshire, right? So like just a town of 7,000 people. You pretty much know like everybody that's around. And the bookstore there, just a little, like independently owned bookstore. And they had like the midnight release of the books and the whole thing. And I'm just like, there's people lined up outside for a book. And I'm like, this is just like real. Like I expected it at GameStop when Skyrim was released, right? Like I was there for that at a midnight release for Skyrim, but I'm like, what's that?
Which time?
Yeah. Well, there's that too. No, I had the dragon. I had the dragon statue and everything. It was a good
nice.
One. Yep. There was a dude in a pickup truck with a horn and a Viking helmet. It was like, it was like really a spectacle. But when it was Harry Potter, it was like this huge line, and I'm like, what are these people doing? And I'm like, they're all kids and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, this is like pretty cool. So started reading it with my son, reading it to him, and then he dove into it and just like devoured the books. I got through most of them at some point. For Percy Jackson, it was a very similar thing. He was just really interested and really into the reading at the time, and like especially into mythology. So he wanted to pick it up. I ended up reading the first one, and I was like, "Ooh, like this is fun." So went through, read all of them for the first, like not the 30 books, but what 5? It's 5, right?
It's 7 now, but the 2 came out like last year and the year before.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And just really enjoyed it. Like I'm like, all right, this is cool. I like the story. I liked Percy as a character. Harry, I honestly just don't like as much as a character. I feel like he's kind of flat. And so I was interested in Percy Jackson, but like I like both of them. We're not wrong on the movies. Like there's zero comparison. And I tried to get screenshots of stuff for characters for what we're going to do for a character throwdown, but my goodness, it was difficult finding. And then they have the whole Disney thing for Percy Jackson. I didn't see that, so I'm like, that's not what, like, I don't remember Percy looking like that. He had black hair. But now he's like a little kid. So it was like all just like kind of weird to put everything together. if you had to reread a series, reread one of these again, I know you did recently, but just go around, like, which one, if you were going to be stuck on a deserted island and have a set of books, would you have Harry Potter Through Deathly Hallows, or would you have 30 Percy Jackson books? Like, what would you rather do? Olin, go ahead. I'll start with you. Sorry.
I would go with the Percy Jackson books personally, but also because they kind of inspired my book series that I'm writing, and
Gotcha.
my first one's out too. So, yeah.
Yep. Hensley, what do you got? What do you think?
Man, I'd have to, if I got to I'd pick between the two, I'm taking the Harry Potter one because it's the hero's journey, start to finish, and well exexecuted.
Yep.
So,
yep.
And that, like that just scratches that itch for me.
We have a Percy vote.
Good.
That's all right. What about you, Trinity? Which one would you take on a deserted island? You're going to be stuck there. You need something to read, and they're like, you can have either of these when you go on the trip with like Gilligan's Boat, and that's all you get.
I'd probably go with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. KB, what about you?
This is going to be an odd vote, but Percy Jackson, because two reasons. There's a lot more stories, like, individual stories, and I basically have Harry Potter memorized, so I don't need the books.
You're all right. I can watch it in my head and like it's totally good. Yeah. Plus, like, hey, maybe you'll figure out how to get off the island by like moving water around or something. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe I'll summon Poseidon.
So what about from each of these? Pick a favorite character from each franchise, right? I'm just curious as to who really resonates with you from each one. KB, I'll swing it back down to you. Like, who do you got in each one? What's the character where you just can't wait for those pages to come, or you can't wait for that spot in the movie, regardless of who the recast actor is?
For the Harry Potter books, I really connected with Lupin on my first read through, so I'm gonna go with him. There was a time in my life where I wanted to be a teacher, and that was before I realized how much kids got on my nerves.
Nice.
But Lupin was the kind of teacher I wanted to be, the one that, connected with the kids individually. Like, you have a different learning style than this guy, and that's just the vibe I got from him. And, he seemed like a teacher, the first Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher that actually cared. And so he's always been one of my favorites. And the Percy Jackson series, man, there's a lot. But from the original, I'd probably have to go Annabeth. She's the daughter of my favorite Greek goddess. She was a really good character. Her cousin's got a pretty cool series now.
Nice. Oh, there you go. Yep.
But yeah, those mine.
I can see the Lupin thing for you. I like you have less of the Gilderoy Lockhart like vibe to me. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe it's the hair. I'm not sure.
Sure, it's not a Tom Riddle character.
Nice. Olin, what about you? A favorite character from each of these things and why? Greetings, Grimfell. What's up, man?
For Harry Potter, I'd probably go with Ron.
Yep.
It's probably Rupert Grint's portrayal mostly.
Yeah.
But of all of them, Ron's always my favorite. If I have to pick from the original Harry Potter series or original Percy Jackson series, probably basic, and it's going to be Percy. Throughout the whole series, though, it's probably Leo Valdez because he's just kind of an outsider. All that in Heroes of Olympus. And he's also Hephaestus's kid, which is cool, and the Tinkerer. And I made characters like that in like D&D and stuff. So
nice.
And the whole outsider thing kind of resonates with me because I feel like that. So
right. Yep. All right. No, good. Hensley, what about you? One from each. What are some of your favorite characters here?
From each. Probably my favorite character in the Harry Potter franchise is Sirius Black. I like he's just got that kind of tragic hero.
Is it also like a little bit of the Gary Oldman thing? Right.
Yeah, that
right. I mean, like, he was brilliant. I mean, he's brilliant in everything, for sure.
Yeah. That doesn't hurt for sure. And then for Percy Jackson, it's his like best buddy.
Okay,
Grover.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
Like, I really dig the faithful companion vibe.
Absolutely. Trinity, what about you? One from each.
From Harry Potter, the parts that I looked forward to were always where Snape was. I don't know. I like that protagonist antagonist feel, even though we all know, he wasn't. But
right.
I always liked when Snape came into the picture. And then Percy Jackson, I'm like Olin, pretty basic as far as that. Percy Jackson, I always gravitate towards the protagonist, and that's usually my favorite. So in that case, it definitely is.
None of you just busted out Hades, but that's cool. That's right. I mean, look, like lots of cool characters to choose from, and I did my best. It's just to select ones that we could have some fun with, and all of that stuff. So that being said, I'm going to bring up the board, and we're going to get through some of these fights, right? And what I want to do is just get some. This will work because I can zoom in on this. Just get some general discussion. Chat, feel free to chime in on any of these. Now, listen, the way I do this is I set it up like we're in a ring and we're setting up a fight. It can be on whatever metric you want it to be, right? So if you want it to be on the character arc and their how integral they are to the story and all that kind of stuff, totally good. If you want it to be on like Neville versus Percy or something like that, and you're like, well, Neville got hotter when he got older, so I'm going to pick Neville. That's totally cool too. Like, I don't care. So it's whatever metric you feel like you want to judge it on. Just be ready to defend it, obviously, if somebody pushes back. But I want to see if we get some consensus on any of these. And I think it's fun to do it in terms of who'd win in a fight. We've got a bracket. We're pairing them up. We're going to see who's going to be last. But again, like I'm leaving that up to your discretion as to how you want to judge these and what you want to throw in. It could be a little bit of everything or what have you. Because obviously we've got a franchise with gods, and we got a franchise with, like some kid who was burping out frogs. So, we have to, we got to be reasonable about some of this stuff here. So here we go. I'm going to do some announcements. We're going to go one match at a time, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to reveal them, and then we'll pick a winner on these. We'll make them advance, and then we'll move on to the next one, so we can get to quarterfinals, semifinals, and then see who's the last one standing on this whole thing. So, if you will, our first one. With a flick of his wand and a scar that screams destiny, he's cheated death, soared on broomsticks, and toppled a dark tyrant. Cheer for the boy who lived. It is obviously Mr. Harry Potter. And I chose the Potter Pals puppet. Gotta just forgive me for that. Every time somebody says Harry Potter, I think Harry Potter. Ooh. I do the song like every single time. So our next one, not so much of a song on this one. With a head full of hissing serpents, you know where this is going, and a stare that turns flesh to stone, she's lured heroes to doom and rocked anti-M's. Face the Gorgon Queen of petrified pain. It is obviously Miss Medusa. And we're going to go with movie Medusa against Potter Pals puppet. It doesn't have to, you don't have to take this fight literally. It's not literally a puppet versus Medusa, though she can't turn him to stone. I'm just saying. But anyway, who do you got in this one? We'll go down the list, right? So Trinity, who do you think would come out on top on this one?
I'd say Harry Potter. He has faced the basilisk, which petrified people. You couldn't look it in the eye, wasn't that? So
yeah, valid point.
Got that going for him already. So I'm just gonna go with Harry Potter on that one.
Yep. All right. Olin, what do you think? Harry versus Medusa. Who you got?
I think Medusa, because Harry's not the brightest. He's fought basilisks before, but he's also kind of dumb. So he doesn't really know much about history and all that. So I mean, snake-haired woman, he'll probably look straight at her.
Yeah, just like, hey, what's wrong with your hair? And then all of a sudden he's just, all right. Hensley, what's your take on this one, man?
I mean, does Harry have access to Hermione?
That's a good point.
Because with Hermione Granger to advise him, Medusa loses.
Right.
Every time. He's a parcel tongue. He can talk the snakes into going to sleep.
Oh,
that's true.
He can handle that.
Maybe he can.
But if he doesn't know not to look at the snakes, he doesn't know not to look her in the face.
Maybe he can get Medusa to let her hair down. Did I just?
Yeah, I mean, he can talk to the snakes.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, he could just be like, "Hey, like, relax, you guys," and then she'd just have like long hair, and it'd just be a bunch of sleeping snakes. I mean, I get it. I would say, like, look, it's up to you. If you think Harry's always around getting bailed out with his buddies, you can factor that in. Um,
if he's got Hermione and Ron to kind of advise
doesn't
him,
he
I think he
always
wins
have
hands
Harry
down.
and Hermione and Ron? Like, they're always around.
Yep.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
true.
like,
Yeah. So
Even if
I
they're
pick Harry.
petrified and handing him torn pages out of a book, yeah, they're around.
what do you think, KB?
Actually, I was gonna give it to Medusa until he said something about the parcel tongue, and
Right?
if he had any kind of advanced warning for Hermione to give him a 30-minute lecture about the history of Medusa, then all he'd have to do is tell her hair to block her eyes, and he could handle that. So I got to go with Harry now, man.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like he wouldn't make the mistake of just like staring at her and being like, "What's that?" But that's just me. But I think we've got a Harry moving on collectively, right? Is that
Yeah.
what?
And I
Yeah.
feel
Okay.
like Harry has the same superpower that Domino has, in Deadpool, where luck's just on his side 90% of the time. So,
Right. Well, yeah.
I think they may call that plot.
Yeah.
they
I'm
call
not
it
sure.
Felix Felicis, but
As the protagonist of a $1 billion franchise, I'm guessing he gets a little bit of a benefit of the doubt in some fights.
yeah.
There's that too. All right, let's do another one. Let's move on to our next one here. Slashing foes with a brain sharper than her blade. She's outsmarted gods, planned victories, loved a sea dog, bow to Athena's sharpest daughter, a favorite for many people. And that would be our Annabeth Chase. Right there. Up against, this is a good one. Brewing potions with a flick of his locks, he's sneered at students, flipped loyalties, and guarded a secret love. Bow to the half-blood prince of shadows. Give it up for our man, Snape, Severus Snape, right there. So who do you got? And we'll start with you, KB. Who do you got?
Oh,
Snape
why are you going to do
versus
this to me?
Annabelle in our
I
first
literally
round.
just said Annabeth was my favorite
or
character.
Annabeth. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, who you got? Oh, it's tricky.
It is, man. It is.
This is not Alan Rickman, by the way. Just in case you were wondering.
Okay. I love both of these characters, but I'm gonna say Annabeth because she's got her invisibility hat, and Snape could never mess with Harry when he had the cloak, so she
Oh,
could just sneak up behind him, do a little bit of Muggle dueling, and cut one of his kidneys out.
the Muggle dueling.
Muggle dueling.
That's good. All right, yeah. So you think she'd just like kind of shank him when he's not looking? Like,
I
he's
mean,
just
not even not looking. He would actively be looking, but she has the hat from her mom that turns her invisible.
he would
So
just be sitting there sad, staring at a picture of Lily, and she'd just gut him like right on the spot. It's like,
Aw.
that's hardcore, man. Jeez, savage.
Annabeth is hardcore, man.
Yeah, she is kind of
She
hardcore.
doesn't play.
There's right. Hensley, what's your take on this one? Annabeth versus Severus Snape. Who you got?
I definitely got to go with Annabeth. Like, I love the Severus Snape, especially Alan Rickman's
sure.
Severus Snape. But close quarters, Annabeth's going to tie him in a pretzel and then cut off his head. Like
that.
like that poor guy doesn't stand a chance.
Annabeth's gonna whoop that ass. That's the kind of thing I never thought I'd see on a stream of Harry Potter versus Percy Jackson. But thank you for that, man. That is good. Yep. No. Jeremy, we talked about the recasted Snape brief. I know. All right, so we got two on Annabeth. Olin, what are your thoughts on this one? Same kind of vibe?
I was gonna say Snape originally, but then I forgot about the invisibility cap. So
Yep.
Yeah, with the invisibility cap, I give it to Annabeth because
Yep.
you just can't see her coming.
Right. Like, is he just gonna like throw potions around? Like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, he can't hit magic what he can't see.
Right. This is true. Trinity, do you agree? Do we have like an actual consensus or what?
I don't know. I want to say Snape because I love Snape, but
I know,
like
right?
you all make good points. And I'm like, I feel like Snape has the years on her, so in my head I'm like, well, she's like 12, like, but I mean, I'm gonna probably go with everybody's consensus here and say Annabeth.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised when I first saw this matchup. I was like, oh, it's Snape. But no,
Right?
you're making really good arguments, honestly. So yeah, like
And at heart, he's the good
the
guy.
the worst of the movies moves on, which is totally fine. So there we go. That's going to be fun in the next round. So let's get another pairing up here. Sneering from Slytherin with a silver spoon, he's hexed foes, faltered at murder, danced with doubt, bowed to the blonde prince of pureblood pride. It is obviously Draco Malfoy. And I forget the name of the actor, but he's fantastic. And he's
Felton.
what is it?
Too good.
Tom Felton.
Right. And like just hysterical on social media and
Brilliant.
everything. I absolutely love the guy. And then charging in with a snarl and a blade, he sparked wars, smashed skulls, roared for blood, raise your fist for the god of destruction. I mean, let's see how this goes. And I picked Disney Aries for this one.
Yes. The Swyhander sword.
Disney Aries versus a sniveling little Draco Malfoy. Hensley, let me start with you, man. Who you got in this one?
Man, I want to give it to Disney Aries, but Malfoy's way smarter than that guy. Like Malfoy is going to beat him, and it's going to be the whole Princess Bride battle of wits kind of thing, and Aries goes down.
I mean, something to be said for it, for sure. Like that was the thing. Like even throughout the movies, I think. I mean, like movie Malfoy and book Malfoy, like I think it was pretty on point. I mean, I don't know, like.
Yeah. Draco's smart and ruthless.
Yeah, like he's got that just from the family and like his family and the whole thing. I love his mom as a character for sure. Particularly when she's just like kind of like figuring it out and battling for her son's life at some point. But all right, so we got one for Draco. KB, what do you got?
Man, I want to say that Draco could just say Sectum Sempra and tell his father about it, but being in Aries, I feel like I gotta vote for Aries, man.
I'm telling my dad. Like, really?
My father will hear.
Mom, Aries is being mean to me.
But no, I'm
right.
going with Aries.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, like he's like.
He's a literal god.
He's a literal god. Like, like I get it. I get it. Owen, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, see, no matter if Draco is smarter than Aries in things, he can't really hurt Aries, and then Aries will just get mad, go god form, burn his eyes out, kill him. Yeah, like you're looking on the god, you're dead. So
yeah, like
I gotta give it to Aries.
Like I understand that the whole Draco thing, but yeah, I mean, like we're talking about a god versus versus a sixth year or whatever he is. All right, Trinity, what are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking that like Aries is all about the power and like he's got a hit. He likes to fight. Draco wouldn't even have to lay a hand on him with his wand. So I'm going with Draco.
All right, so you think so basically the hand to hand versus wand pew pew, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a little Expelliarmus. Maybe Draco finally sacks up and casts a guild.
Could be.
You never know.
Could be.
I'm just saying, war kills a lot of people without Aries having to get directly involved. Harry had to save Draco from war more than one time. So.
Right.
Aries also has guns. He's not afraid of using guns.
Yeah, I mean, valid points all the way around, man.
If you involve firearms, Harry Potter's over in the first book. Like, it's not even the boy that lived. Like, Voldemort shows up, and the Potters gun him down with with model 1911.
Protection spells are bulletproof.
There's guns all up in Percy Jackson.
The boy who took 2 in center mass. Yeah, like I mean, like I get that for sure. I don't know. Is there anything within the Percy Jackson books in terms of Aries that you feel like would give him just like, what do you feel like would give him the ultimate edge in something like this? And like is where the fight happens. Like, would that be a thing?
I don't think the fight matters for Ares himself because he's kind of powerful wherever.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
like,
plus
Yeah, he is immortal after all.
True.
Yeah, there's
Ares can
that, I guess.
also ignite like the battle rage in people, and that automatically makes intelligence go out the window.
that is
So as
true.
smart as Draco is, he wouldn't be thinking, he would just want to fight.
Yeah, you think he'd just like run after him, trying to kick him into shins and stuff?
I mean, he might try to stab him, his wand up his nose like Harry did that troll. I don't know, but
Ares is also a battle master. Like he
Yeah.
isn't really that
yeah,
stupid.
I'm
He's
saying all this like I fully wish Draco could win, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. I mean,
I
like,
feel
look,
that.
if it comes down to it, too, if nobody wants to change their mind, like, I got to do a tie break here. It's got to be Ares. Like, can we just let's just
I'm
accept that?
thinking with the someone said the immortal thing. It's like, well, then how can he lose, right? At that point.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm not going to say that just because he's immortal, he's going to win the whole thing, because then we're going to have like a couple winners.
Right. Yeah.
But I think in this one, I feel like Draco's great, but I think he's just a little outclassed. Like, I'm just going to say. So I'm going to call host privilege, and say, even though we have a little bit of a lock here, it's got to be Ares. We got to get him going. Plus, he looks way cooler here than any character in the movies. So, like, at least give it up for Disney to fixing that. Let's move on. Let's do another one. This is a good one. This one's gonna have some discussion. So here we go. Galloping from ancient myths with a quiver full of wisdom, he's trained demigods, knocked arrows, and kept Camp Half-Blood spinning. Settle up for the four-legged mentor. It is, of course, everyone's favorite centaur, Chiron, right there. I went for first movie Chiron, not Anthony Head's second movie Chiron, though that's fine too. But for me, he's perpetually Buffy the Vampire Slayer's mentor. So there's that. And then next we're gonna go bumbling in with a wand and a quip. He's checkmated giants, brave spiders, and stuck by his mates. Cheer the redhead with a heart of gold, Ron Weasley. And there he is. This is adorable, this matchup, by the way. So I went for just kind of like on this one, just sort of like the big hearted kind of like mentor companion sort of fight thing going. So let's go on this one. Trinity, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who do you think would have it if these two decided to fight it out, burp slugs or whatever?
This is such an odd pairing. I feel like it's obvious with Chiron. As much as I love Ron,
Right?
He's the son of Kronos, and is like, I don't know. He's fought in how many battles?
Right.
Ron's always bumbling.
You don't think he just feels sorry for Ron and just like martyr himself and be like, nah, I feel bad for this dork. I'm just gonna like
if we're going that route, maybe.
Maybe
if they're like legit fighting and there's no backouts, then I'd go with Chiron.
Yeah. I think Ron would probably he'd do something like set himself on fire or some such thing. I don't know. Olin, what do you think?
Yeah, right.
I think Chiron is too much of a teacher to win this. He would spend the battle teaching Ron and like mainly lose because of that.
No,
like,
this is where you stab me.
he let himself lose or give up after he thinks Ron has been taught enough.
Oh.
So I think Ron would go on because Chiron's a teacher.
You think it would be his last his last moment as the sort of teaching, I don't know, like the Sith Lord taking over, like Ron being the Sith, I guess. Yeah. Maybe not a perfect analogy.
If it's an all-out battle, Chiron's probably winning, but personality-wise, I think Chiron lets Ron win.
Hey, look, that's the metric, man. That is definitely fair. We got a 1-to-1. KB, what do you think?
I was already kind of thinking, Chiron will be the one to take the fall to let Ron win if this was a fight.
Right.
But I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say Chiron just so we can have a shot at taking out Ares in the next round, man. Like, I don't want to do Ron dirty like that. That's rude.
Yeah, like, Ares is taking out Malfoy. What chance does Ron have?
Right.
Hensley, what do you got? What are you thinking?
As much as I love the underdog here, like Chiron's gonna fill Ron full of arrows before he gets within like talking distance.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I would say that's probably the tie break right there. I think that's I think, like, as much as I love plucky Ron in this situation, like it does seem like it. If we're being honest about it being a fight,
Yeah.
like, come on, the dude's a horse. Like, let's let's
And a master archer.
master archer.
And he teaches he taught demigods how to fight.
Yeah, all right. I think it's safe to say we've got to move on, and I agree that's going to be a fun one to head to. Let's head over to the other side. Well, let's do this first. Just quick thoughts on your final four here. Which one are you looking forward to the most? In terms of Harry versus Annabeth, or are we looking forward to Ares and Chiron? Which one do you think is going to be the most difficult? Trinity. Don't say who you think would win. Just what do you think is going to be the most difficult?
The Ares versus Chiron.
Yeah. Olin.
Ares versus Chiron.
Yeah. Are we all in agreement, Hensley? Yep.
Yeah.
That's KB. You already indicated that. All right. So I'm looking forward to that one. Looking forward to that one for sure. All right, so here we go. We're halfway through on the first bracket. Let's get through some of these other ones and introduce some more characters. And we're going to go right here. Okay. Our other number one seed, riding waves with a pen and a sword and a smirk. He's drowned titans, sassed gods, saved the day, splash into the ring with the son of Poseidon. Obviously. And I just remembered. So I actually had like a little bit of a difficult time finding a really good like digital picture for Percy Jackson. And so and I already gave Ron and Snape some crap just by using the puppets. So I'm like, well, I got to do something like to Percy here. So I had AI do an image of Percy for me, except it's moonshine swilling hillbilly redneck Percy in a trailer park. So I'm sorry about that. But here he is. So there we go. It's a different kind of Percy Jackson. And by the way, I would watch the hell out of it if this was the movie, and I would instantly buy it without even seeing it, and 4K for sure. So we got Hillbilly Percy up there. You can use whatever you want with that. I hope that doesn't give anyone nightmares, by the way. But if you needed a new sleep demon, it's right there. Next up.
Never sleeping again.
From bumbling herb nerd to snake slaying rebel. He's chopped heads, defied dark lords, bloomed in battle. Cheer the quiet champion of Gryffindor. Some people think is like the main character of the entire thing, which is a fun conspiracy thing to get into. It is, of course, Neville Longbottom. So we got Trailer Park Percy versus Neville. Can I make AI Percy bigger so you can see it better? At some point I can.
If you make him any bigger, he's
not going to fit in the browser. It's like
he's going to move to the West Coast so he can use the Pacific to take a bath.
Yeah, how's that for? Is this like I'm really sorry to be zooming in like this.
Logan Lerman version of him, like is that
really is really is quite remarkable what AI can do for you these days. This took me like 2 seconds to do. Anyway, let's figure this one out, folks. And Dave, I'll start with you on this one. Who do you got between Neville and Trailer Park Jackson here?
Dude, I got Neville. Like Neville just straight up will out scrap him. Neville has been tormented and kicked and beaten by like some of the most sadistic people in all of fiction.
Yep.
And he's still around. Like he's tough. He's kind of, he starts out kind of soft and weepy, but turns out Neville's kind of a
tough guy. I love his character.
He's like that he's like that stupid sandbag clown thing. You hit him and he
comes back up. Yeah, he definitely has like look, if you're looking for the plucky underdog vibe, like that's Neville.
He's like the Chumbawamba friggin' contender here. He gets knocked down, he gets back up again.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay, tub thumping Neville Longbottom. So KB, what about you? What do you think between Neville and Percy?
Well, I mean, they both have really cool tricks with swords. So to me, it'd be more based off of where the fight is actually taking place.
Yep.
But let's just say, I have to pick Neville because I feel like Neville could be pretty solid in a fight consistently. Where, if they were in Task 2 of the Triwizard Tournament, Percy would probably win. You know what I mean?
Right. I hear you. Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta go Neville, man. Like I love Percy, but I gotta go Neville.
What if the fight? What if the fight was in a trailer park? Like, does that change
Oh,
the
I
calculus
mean,
at all?
yeah, that's you know,
I
Neville
mean,
could just, lift up trailers and toss it at Percy, and Percy's got like a broken water fountain by an empty pool.
I
So
mean, judging by this picture, it looks like Percy has indeed had at least half that bottle of moonshine.
yeah.
So there's that. Olin, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's got to be Percy. Percy's a much better swords fighter. He's a whole lot faster.
Yep.
Like Percy's like cutting bullets out of the air. What's Neville gonna do to him? Like, and if there's any water around, just Neville's drowning.
Right. He is indeed the son of Poseidon. So there's that.
Like,
Um,
if you got any pipes around, they're just gonna bust. And he's just gonna wrap that water around Neville. Neville's not gonna be able to move.
just like these overalls.
I mean, he's got gillyweed though. You know what I mean?
I mean, he has to get that though, and then even then, if it's just straight swords fight, take the Gryffindor. Like Neville's gonna be like waving his sword, and Percy's already gonna be there, like slicing him up. He's fighting guys who are like dodging lightning and stuff. What's Neville gonna do?
Yeah. Look, compelling arguments for sure. Olin and Trinity, what are your thoughts on this one?
I feel like it would depend on the stage of Neville's life where we're at, but if we're putting it after Hogwarts and the whole incident, he's come a long way. So I'd say Neville, and I mean he's not Gryffindor for no reason.
Right. Right.
I've got Neville on this one.
Right. Anybody changing their mind listening to Olin's plea? Because like honestly, I would definitely go Percy on this one as well, just for the same reasons. I'm like son of Poseidon versus Neville Longbottom. Like, come on, people.
Well,
But
see,
yeah,
the timing of where we're at in each story is pretty significant for this fight because like you said, Neville gets nothing but better. At the beginning of the second Percy Jackson series, he walks under a waterfall and washes all his power away. So,
all right.
like,
So
timing is very important. This is a really hard one to.
Yeah, late Harry Potter Neville is not to be trifled with.
I'll tell you what. Let's let this one sit. Right. Let's let this one sit. We're gonna come back to that one. Just keep thinking on that one. Y'all have blinders on. Percy. Oh, this is Jesse. I was waiting for you to chime in. Percy is beating the dog shit out of Neville. Neville was loyal and tough, but he never showed strong dueling skill. Look, valid point, man. Valid point. And I hope that my choice of Trailer Park Percy is not affecting judgment here.
No, Trailer Park Percy is like making me relate to Percy Jackson more, so it's actually giving me a leg.
I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely like affecting my like.
Yeah. Look, you should have seen some of the ones that I actually rejected for this until I picked that one. There were some real doozies in there. I never thought I'd see Percy's nipples hanging out of a thing like that. It was really quite something. Like, wow. Okay, Grok. That's great. All right, let's go to the next one, and then we'll move back up to it. Right. Cracking books and hexes with bushy-haired brilliance. She's outwitted trolls, saved souls, punched bullies. Hail the witch with wits and wand. Of course, we're talking about Hermione. And there we go. Right. And Hermione is up against, this should be a fun one, swinging steel with a chip on his shoulder. He's defied gods, led titans, broke hearts. Meet the golden boy turned rogue. And we're bringing Luke into this one, folks, right there. So this is a compelling one for sure. And who do you got on it? KB, I'm going to start with you on this one. Luke versus Hermione.
And Luke gets on my nerves. Really, I had to watch that movie today.
He is irritating, yeah.
He is a very good fighter. He's got some tricks up his sleeves with his stupid shoes to try to pull people into Tartarus. But Hermione can see right through that kind of stuff, and she's pretty solid, dueler. So I got to go with Hermione.
All right, let's go with the chain.
Sword versus wand is pretty crucial in this situation.
Right. Right. Dave, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I got to go with Hermione. Like, she's smart. Yep. She knows how to fight. She's American, so she's probably packing a gun.
Wow. Based Hermione. I like it.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, look, can't argue with it. Olin, what are you thinking on this one?
I'd probably go with Hermione because Luke is too overconfident. So, like, Hermione wins for that reason, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far to label Luke like insufferable, but like I don't know, he just irritated me as a character. But Trinity, are you in agreement? You think Hermione takes this one?
Hands down.
Hands down.
I'm trying not to be biased for like, preferences for
right,
the story, but yeah, no, she's definitely she's got the, skills. And
I'm just saying, Hermione versus Trailer Park Percy. All right, let's go to the next one. Right, let's just not think about that yet. I've got two really good ones for you here. Okay, so our next one, waving a wand with a twinkle and a plan, he shaped fates, felled foes, hid a few secrets, bow to the wizard with a big old beard, and it is of course Dumbledore right there. So who are we going to pit him against? Plotting wars with a glare and a scroll. She's birthed heroes, cursed fools, ruled with reason, kneel to the goddess of strategy. We're going to throw Athena versus Albus Dumbledore. So we've got another one where it's like, God versus Hogwarts dude. But this time it's not Draco. We're going with the head honcho here. So Olin, I'm going to start with you on this one. And who do you think takes it between Albus and Athena?
I think Athena. She's smarter. She's faster. She's got more experience in war.
Yeah, her thing about just like the plotting and all of that kind of stuff, like the wisdom goddess. Like,
she's the goddess of wisdom. Like everything that Dumbledore tried to do, Athena would have done it too better. Right. So I got to go with Athena.
Yep. Trinity, what about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm going with Athena too, goddess of wisdom, and just it's you don't get to experience too much of like her in battle in the books or the movies, but just like the facts kind of puts her up there.
Right. All right, so we got two for Athena. We've got that's a tough one going Albus. We've got an Athena right here. And Jesse, Hermione is like Batman. Nobody wants it if she's had prep time. I mean, yeah, there's something to be said for that too. And by the way, Jesse, totally agree. Yes, Trailer Park Percy Jackson does need a story. Maybe that can be a whole Trailer Park thing, right? Like just Greek gods in a trailer park for a theme on the next one for Three Ravens. I would dig that. So. All right, so let's see if this ends up locked up in a tie, or if somebody's going with Athena here. Dave, what about you?
No, I got to give it to Athena. Hands down.
Yeah, I love Dumbledore.
And if we Dumbledore's not to be fooled with, but
right,
Athena being the goddess of wisdom, and then if you take into account she can handle any one of the people, any one of the warriors that were before in front of the walls of Troy,
right?
Including Achilles. Albus Dumbledore really doesn't stack up.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. KB, do you want to make a point on this one? We've got Athena moving on.
Yeah, I do want to make one point. I was going to vote for Athena either way,
right?
Just because favorite goddess and everything, but nobody defeated Dumbledore ever. Dumbledore had to arrange his own defeat to destroy the power of the Elder Wand. Athena's been, she's taken some L's in history. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you've been around as long as she has, you're bound to lose one or two.
Yeah, occasionally. But I'm just saying, like Dumbledore was like, "I need you to kill me. Don't argue. This has to be done. Like, make it dramatic because I like flair." You know what I mean? But no, I was going to pick Athena, but I had to make a case for Dumbledore.
Right.
Make it look good.
Drama Dumbledore. All right. I mean, like, I get it. I
don't get why we didn't get the Dumbledore puppet, though. I mean, you gave us Harry and the
There was the one where he just pops up naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one. I guess I missed that one. I'm sorry. I could have done them all as puppets, but like I didn't want to go there. All right, so the next one, here we go. Okay, so this is going to be a good one. I was looking forward to this one, honestly. Saved it for last. Ruling the dead with a helm of gloom, he snarked at kin, hoarded souls, flipped the game, kneel to the king of shadows. It is, of course, Hades. Boom, right there, and just a brilliant act. I forget his name, but in Tropic Thunder as a director, like he's fantastic. Absolutely love him. All right, so busting out of Azkaban with a bark and a grin, he's dodged Dementors, fought for kin, died too soon, roar for the mutt with a rebel soul, and obviously we've got Sirius Black versus Hades. Just kind of an epic matchup. I wanted to hit this one last. And let's see, Trinity, I'll start with you on this one. Who do you think?
Like,
I know. You're like, no, don't. I don't want to start with me. No.
I probably have to go with Hades on this one. I want to go with Sirius, but
Right.
I'm thinking God of the Dead, and like that just in my head, I'm like, he's the winner.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, if you just factor it, let's just sprinkle in a little bit of character arc background, that kind of thing. If you factor a little bit of that in, of like who's the more compelling character in each of these, would you go with Sirius Black?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's a more compelling
and that's
character. He's got heart. He's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my absolute favorites for sure. So we'll say it's a very tentative Hades for you.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Olin, what
we'll
about
do
you?
Well, it's Hades. You just gotta raise a whole bunch of skeletons to go after him. Control the undead, summon them. I mean, so much magic's not going to work so much.
I mean, are they better or worse than Dementors? Like, what do you think?
I mean, Dementors are just going to suck out your soul, but undead's going to just bury you and rip you apart.
I mean, okay, valid, but yeah, that's pretty gruesome. Yeah, valid point. Yeah, but he couldn't. Yeah, Sirius is awesome. Couldn't escape death in his own series for sure. Sorry, Sirius just can't deal. Yeah, for sure.
Hades has this.
Yeah, undeniable style. I mean, for Hades, sure. So what do you think, KB? What do you got on this one?
Well, I mean, they're both great characters, and I've never seen a portrayal of Hades in any series that I didn't like. Especially, the Hercules movie. That was great. That's the Hades that pops in my mind.
Right. Nice.
But
James Woods was so great in that. Absolutely.
We're gonna make it a dogfight, and I'd have to say that Cerberus wins against Sirius. So 3 heads are better than 1. You know what I mean? So I gotta go with Hades.
Yep. Hensley, do you have an argument to the contrary? It looks like Hades is moving on no matter what. So,
well, if Hades in his arrogance screws around with Sirius too long, Sirius might find a way to pull a win out.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, I think,
and I mean, when we're talking about beating death, the win is getting away with your life, right? Like you're not going to actually take Hades down. You're just going to escape.
Right. But we have to factor, like I said, we have to factor that in, that we're throwing characters in here that are immortals, and so it's like moral victory should count as a victory in that case, even if it's not like shanking Snape, from underneath an invisibility hat.
Yeah, if it's Sirius having to steal somebody out of Hades' realm, I think Sirius can pull it off, right?
Okay. Yep. Anybody changing their mind, or are we going to stick with 3-1? No. Trinity, no. Hades. All right, you're overruled, Hensley. It is Hades. I appreciate those points though. Those are excellent points. Sirius definitely my favorite character in this one, and I would rather see him move on, but this is the right choice. Like, I think this is the right choice, which brings us back to the one that we really need to just kind of hash out here.
Neville versus Percy.
And that is Neville Longbottom versus Trailer Park Percy Jackson. I tried generating images with a banjo, but it's AI, and he had too many fingers. One of his fingers was a sausage. In one of them, his hand was through the banjo. It was just all looking really weird. And
All that was just Neville trying to do transfiguration on
and,
him, man. Like, he's not
and let
great
me
at
tell
it.
you, Grok AI really didn't get these overalls right on a couple of instances, and I'm going to need to wash my eyes out with some soap later. So any other thoughts on this one? Let me run it. Let's go down one more time, right? Trinity, just give me your primary argument and your cemented choice for the winner in this one.
Well, I did initially say Neville after Hogwarts and after all that, but I think there was enough argument for Percy Jackson, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go with Percy on this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's the protagonist, come through all his battles, fought Ares and won.
Right.
So I'm gonna change that one and go with Percy.
Yep. Olin, you're Percy all the way.
I'm Percy, and also Percy has fought magic users and has been resistant to magic. So, I mean, that kind of goes. And if we're going different points in time, what about the time when Percy was basically immune to everything because he was Achilles, dipped in the River Styx? If we go with that Percy, what's he going to do? Like, he has to be hit right in the back or armpit or whatever?
Back.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting to these armpits on Trailer Park Percy, by the way.
Yeah. So, like, if we're trying to
You don't want
take them different place, and then the waterfalls won't wash that away. But
this is just him taking a bath outside the trailer park.
Yeah, trying to clean his armpits because he can't reach.
That's right. All right,
Yeah,
Hensley, where are you on it?
I'm still going with Neville. Like, late series Neville's like the John McClane of the Harry Potter franchise.
That's good with the Alan Rickman going and everything. Like, that's I get you there. Yep, for sure. KB, sticking Percy.
So I was Neville originally, but I've thought about it. I've changed it because I picked a solid place in each series as the end of the original book series.
Okay.
And then I put both of them on home field advantage, like Percy in New York, Neville at Hogwarts, them both fighting. There's the Great Lake and everything at Hogwarts. There's pipes all through the walls. The basilisk messed it up. Like New York, there's water everywhere. Percy's going to win hands down in both of those situations, so I'll flip it to Percy just so we can have a winner.
Flipping it to Percy. All right. I'm not mad about Trailer Park Percy moving on. I'm not saying that in secret behind the scenes that I've got a whole betting ring going, but like I'm not going to not say that either. All right, so let's put these four aside and head back over here and let's get through some of these. Let's try and whittle this down to our semifinalists, right? So we'll go with Harry, and we'll go with Miss Chase here, Annabeth. I know. So our overview on Harry. Obviously, he's the protagonist of the story. He's the hero of the story. The whole thing. He's done a whole bunch of stuff, but as we know, he tends to lean on his friends. And so if you're going to use that as a metric, I feel like you kind of have to use the same metric with Annabeth and say that she's got Grover and Percy hanging out with her at the same time. So considering all that, I don't want to make it trio versus trio because the Annabeth trio is clearly derivative. But let's say if we say that they've got a little bit of it like coaches in their corners, who do you got coming out on top? And Dave, let me start with you on this one. Harry or Annabeth?
With Hermione coaching from the corner, man, I think Harry beats
the
Annabeth.
Strategist back there for him. Yeah, she's a smart one.
Yep.
No, I get it.
Well, and Harry's
sure.
no slouch. Late series Harry can fight. He has full access to all of his mojo.
Right. Yeah. Annabeth is just better. We've got one of those. We've got an Annabeth. Harry's friends can't save his dumbass this time. And Jesse with another banger. Ain't nobody washing these armpits, not even me. Yeah, that's just gross. But okay. And all right, so we got one for Harry. KB, what do you think on this one?
Well, I'm gonna use not necessarily the friend metric, but the same argument I used for Snape could apply to Harry, and Harry never beat Snape. So if Snape beats Harry, Annabeth beats Snape, Annabeth beats Harry. Like,
Oh, yeah,
Wizard
yeah,
beats
that's right.
Snape.
Yeah. I need to
Wizard
somehow
poison
mix
we gonna do
Spock.
Annabeth
this?
and then Harry and Snape with my. All right. No, like hey, look, I appreciate the logic on that one for sure. Yeah, I mean it's
I mean, we're
kind of hard
saying
to
if
argue with.
Hermione's in Harry's corner, then Harry wins, but Annabeth is pretty much the Hermione of her trio. So,
This is true. Yeah.
like,
Right. All right. So we got 1-1. Trinity, let me swing it to you here. What are you thinking on this one?
I was going to go with that similar argument with that Annabeth is like the Hermione of her trio.
Yep.
Like she's better than Percy. She's better than Harry. As far as a fight goes, she'd take him down, no problem.
Yep.
You know, I guess they both have their invisibility too. He's got his cloak, she's got her hat, so that's not like an advantage on either side of them.
All right.
they just put their cloak and hat on and hide forever.
Yeah, right.
Just don't say anything. I really have to go to the bathroom, and
You can't see me.
yeah.
and she's definitely more ruthless in terms of like if it came down to make the call, she would be on that. So I'm going with that.
If somebody was standing over her, like finish him, she'd be like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I get that. She's kind of a savage. Olin, what do you think on this one?
I was gonna go with Harry. I'll go with Annabeth, just to not make it a tie. But about the invisibility thing, all Harry does is Accio hat, and then the hat comes and he's still invisible. But all in all, Annabeth is just smarter and a better strategist and a better fighter.
Right.
So I'll just go with Annabeth, just to not make it a tie.
All right. We got a 3 on Annabeth, and as rules, she's moving on. Let's put Miss Chase right there. All right. So we've got a Snape defeated and a Harry defeated. That's pretty epic. So we're definitely going to have a Percy Jackson semifinal here, but who's it going to be, folks? We've got Aries and Chiron. My goodness. All right, Olin, let me start with you on this one. Give me your summary on these guys.
I'm probably just gonna go with Ares because he's the god here. Like Chiron trains people to fight them, but he's not going against the gods. Like,
right.
So I have to give it to Ares because they both kind of have the whole eons of experience of fighting.
Yep.
And when it comes down to it, one's going to be hurt a lot more than the other by the weapons that get used.
For sure.
So
in terms of the books, when one of these characters comes up, who are you more like? Who do you dig into more?
Chiron. He's just better as a character. Like he's like the teacher role, like the nice guy who's always helping out, and then
right.
You know, Ares is just I'm here to kill things.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when he's Mars is a little bit better in my opinion than Ares, but
gotcha. All right, Trinity, what about you? What do you think between Chiron and Ares here?
I'm probably with Ares on this one too. It's funny, we're comparing characters and everything. I'm like, I feel like Ares would be like more like the Gilderoy Lockhart with the, all about himself kind of thing, but he actually has something to show for it. So.
Dude's got some chops. Yeah. That's true.
I'd say Ares, he's got that battle bit going, and Chiron's a bit too soft in this case.
Yeah, I could say, I mean, like nice guys finishing last in this case. Like, it's kind of a thing.
It's a fight.
Mr. Hensley, what are your thoughts on this one?
Ares, hands down. Like Chiron, like not only does just from a pure like martial standpoint, like Ares is war personified, but then Chiron is also the mentor, and in the hero's journey, the mentor gets axed.
Right.
Like that's just
and you'll have to remind me, but like
so
in the books, Chiron he's alive at the end, right? Like he didn't bite it.
He can't die until the last hero. Yeah.
No,
right.
he's immortal.
He's not out of it at any point, right?
But from a trope standpoint, the mentor always gets it.
Right. Yeah, to allow the hero to ascend, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. KB, some extra thoughts on this one as we move Ares on?
No, it's Aries all the way. And the logic I used is those who can't do teach, and one of these is a teacher, and one of these is not. So,
Oh man, it's harsh, dude.
I mean, I
Wow.
had to think of some reason for some kind, to make a choice, but I was like,
Yeah.
that works.
I mean, I guess that's why Puppet Snape just bit it in the first round too, I guess. All right, let's head over here and let's get to our semifinalists. We're doing this one last. Let's do the Hades battle first. And who do we
Oh.
got on this one between Hades and Athena? I mean, obviously throw in whatever mythology you want to throw in on it. Olin, I want to start with you on this one. I know you're really digging into Percy Jackson. I figured you would have a strong opinion on these two characters. But what's your thought process here?
I don't know.
This is a tough one, right?
Yeah, because it's two gods. Like Athena's the wise one, but Hades is
Hades.
the big three. So I kind of got to give it to him because he's one of the big three. It's Zeus, him, and Poseidon.
Right.
So, like he has the army he can call up. Athena's kind of going to be fighting by herself. So I'm just going to give it to Hades.
Yeah. I mean, hard to argue with that for sure. Trinity, what about you? What do you think on this one?
I'd say there's not too many battles with Athena where I'd choose somebody else. I'd say she's still kind of hits the top for me as far as she's a goddess of wisdom. Wisdom is key. Like it wins battles.
She's a plotter, right? You figure she can just like out strategize Hades to some degree.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. I just think wisdom trumps kind of,
Yeah.
anything.
Hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. I mean, like, look, valid point for sure. And KB, what do you got on this one?
A headache.
That's what I had. Yeah.
Like, can we just get back to Trailer Park Percy? Yeah.
Because these are two of my favorite gods, and I've been obsessed with Greek mythology my entire life. But I've always tried to look at things like I'm more of a fan my entire life of the way Athena approaches things. Like Hades, I love him. I'm not trying to talk crap, but he doesn't think about it. There's always an apathy, except for the Hercules movie Hades, where he's just like, you guys handle it. Like I'm just, what I mean?
Yeah.
Athena is very much involved, and I've always liked Athena more personally, so that's the only reason I'm saying it. Personal choice.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, he's even portrayed that way in the movie. He's just sort of like nonchalant about the whole thing, in some way. But like, I guess you can afford to be that if you're one of the big three.
Yeah, you can.
Right. So Hensley, what are your thoughts on this one, man? Athena versus Hades?
Well, I got to give it to Hades. Like Athena's a good strategist, and wisdom is important until you get face to face where you can't. I mean, sure you got to think in a fight, but at some point it's raw aggression and the ability to deal damage. And on top of that, Hades has the helm of darkness, and you can't hit what you can't see.
We learned that with
the very thing that lets that gets Snape dead is going to get Athena planted in the dirt.
I guess
by
Athena
Hades.
shouldn't have gave her hat to her daughter.
That's right. Being the goddess of wisdom,
she's also a better parent. So I mean,
oh man! All right, so where are we on this one? Are we locked on this one? Wait, it is a tie. Oh man! All right. I mean, any other argument in favor of one or the other? Do any of you feel like you're close to a switch on this or no?
No.
Well, and Hades can summon an army of the dead.
Hades has the whole power output to win this. That's
strategy's great, but quantity has a quality all of its own.
Considering
I'll switch just because, like I said, mine was personal. I could provide no logic to explain why she would win in a fight.
Right.
But just to settle it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and if you didn't, I was going to break the tie with Hades right here, because I just think I think just considering all those things that you had mentioned, he'd be the one to come out on it. Maybe he wouldn't win the war, but I think he'd win the day most days.
Yeah.
So I'd give it to him in a throwdown with a time limit on it. Let's just say that way. All right, which brings us to Hermione facing
Trailer Park Percy.
the behemoth of the trailer park in Trailer Park Percy Jackson. Oh man, all right. So think about everybody that Hermione's defeated and what she can do and all of that, and then think about all the things that Percy can do. Moonshine powered even. Maybe she doesn't want to get anywhere near his armpits. There's all sorts of ways this one can go. So let's see. Dave Hensley, I'm going to start you off on this one, man. What do you think between Trailer Park Percy and Miss Hermione here? Prim and proper Hermione.
Again, some of it is timing and series timing, right? Like late series Hermione has kind of had some of the prim and proper sort of like burned out of her.
Yeah, she got pretty badass for sure. Yep.
Like she learned the value of ruthlessness to go with her ability to plan. And she's probably got the most encyclopedic knowledge of magic and its use. So if she can keep Percy from closing the distance, I think Hermione wins.
Valid points, man. Valid points for sure. The trick is, can she keep Percy from closing the distance?
Right. Like, because Percy has water power, right? There's things he can do that she's going to have a hard time countering.
Right. Homie's a waterbender. Yep. And plus like the whole thing with storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, all that kind of stuff. Like he's got a lot of tools in the toolkit, for sure. So KB, what do you think on this one?
Dude, first of all, this would be an epic fight.
Yeah,
so I don't even want to think about the fight. When I first saw these two were against each other, I just started thinking how to make the decision, and I'm basing it on the hardest thing each character's had to do that I can remember.
Okay.
Percy's been through a lot, but like I said, I watched the movie today. As soon as mommy was in trouble, Percy forgot the entire plan and was like, no, I got to save my mommy. But when the world was in trouble, Hermione erased herself from her parents' memories and made them move to Australia, and she sacrificed everything that was important to her in her life to try to help win the war. So
yeah, she is. She personally just ruthless.
Bro, that's a hell of an argument. Holy crap.
And I'm pretty sure that Hermione, like the readers were informed about that in the 7th book, yes, but I'm pretty sure that Hermione did that, at the beginning of the 5th book when the Ministry started cracking down on Muggleborns, and that she pretty much used Hogwarts as a home for the past 2 years. That's something that I just personally think, but yeah, when it comes to that, like I said, the fight will be epic. I would love to actually see the writers do this.
Right.
But I got to give it to Hermione just because she's willing to sacrifice everything to accomplish her goal. And the first time one of Percy's friends gets in trouble, he's like, "Oh, we had a plan? No, we didn't."
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean that's where the charm of the sarcasm in Percy Jackson and all that kind of stuff kind of comes back to bite him a little bit in this case. Harry Potter got it was pretty serious to the end of all that stuff. And I mean, that's a hell of a point on Hermione in terms of her parents. So Trinity, what about you? What are you thinking on this one?
It's funny. I was leaning towards Percy for first little bit, and then KB just changed my mind. It's like, oh yeah, no, she's really like, Percy thinks very emotionally, right? Like he goes where his heart is and he just zooms in. And here I'm thinking like if Percy and Hermione fought and Percy came out on the end, and I'm like, oh, Harry Potter would be that kid that's like, no, and then he'd be like full rage in there, right? Like the emotions, but she's very logical in her thinking, and I think she'll have that advantage. So I'd say Hermione as well.
Smart, some time manipulation thrown in there from time to time, no pun intended.
Well, and don't forget, she stood up to the freaking the the Cruciatus curse with Bellatrix.
Right.
Like she just took that on the chin.
Yeah.
All right, Olin, what do you think on this one?
I'm going with Percy. I mean, yeah, he throws plants out the windows because his friends are hurt. But like again, to do that, he's like standing up to gods who can smite him. He's basically throwing the middle finger up to like Zeus and everything. Just like,
valid point.
You know what? I'm gonna go get my parent. I don't care what you want of me. And then he's also lifted the heavens. Like he took
Boy's got guts.
Annabeth's place to do that, to save her.
Yeah.
Like, he's willing to throw himself in the line of fire to protect everyone else.
Right.
Like, because he has that whole, no one's gonna get hurt except for me.
Right.
So I think, plus again, I give it to Percy and like Speed. Like, she's not gonna be able to get much out. And then if we had Harry Potter getting advice from Hermione in a fight, Annabeth telling Percy what to do, like, hey, do this. And usually he's just like, Annabeth, okay, do what she says because I'm stupid. So just listen to what she does. Plus, I mean,
but what if Weasley is advising Hermione? I mean, like,
Hermione's not going to listen to Weasley over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
shut up, I'm
in
busy.
Percy's favor. Like, she's going to be like, shut up, I can't concentrate.
Oh man! All right, so where are we on this one? I'll tell you what. We're at 2-2 again?
It's 3-1.
Oh, it's 3-1.
I feel like you can also like argue too. You were talking about like what are they fighting for? Because that can make like we're talking about emotions being emotionally driven too, and it's like is there a certain cause here that like because sometimes that will drive them to a win.
Yep.
But.
Yeah. So we're thinking Hermione's edging this one out. Is that what we got? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard to disagree with that one. I will say I'm happy to see Hermione move on, only because I didn't want a fully Percy Jackson semifinal. So at least we got some representation in here since Snape didn't make it, jerk, and got shanked by invisible Annabeth during this whole thing. Which brings us to our final four. We've got Hermione versus Hades. That's grand. And we've got Annabeth and Ares. Again, if we have immortals in this, we have to say win the battle, not the war, right? Because they can just last and just be around forever and all that kind of stuff. So let's try and think of it from somewhat of a level playing field as much as we can and say nobody has to be shanked in the dead of night and just die out bleeding in a Hogwarts hallway. But just win the battle, right? Win with a day victory. So with that metric in mind, who do we got between Annabeth and Ares? And Olin, let me start with you on this one.
In a similar fashion to how Percy won, if they make it to the first blood, Annabeth is gonna win, because invisibility hat. She has the dagger that's the bronze that could actually cut him.
Yep.
If we do it in that, she's going to win because she could just be smarter and move around. If it's all out, Ares wins. I just kind of want to see Annabeth go to the next round. And so,
yeah, no, that's fine, man. I totally get that. I agree because she's just a really compelling character. And yeah, for sure. All right, so we got one on Annabeth. Trinity, what about you?
I'm still keeping up with my wisdom kind of trumps, and Annabeth has that logic, that strategy, and I'd say she's probably quicker.
Yep.
So Annabeth, yeah.
Who listens to a Weasley? I missed that one when it came up. That's really funny. Yeah, Annabeth for sure. She's smarter. William, I mean that's a thing. All right, so we've got two on Annabeth right now, and Mr. Hensley, what are you thinking?
No, I think that it's Annabeth. Like she's smarter, she's quicker, and she has the invisibility hat.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the hat on.
Like she can't permanently kill Ares, but she can certainly inconvenience him to the point where he's just gonna find something else.
Right. She could win the day, is what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, she can win the day.
Right? KB, what do you think?
I gotta agree with Jesse up there. I mean, if Percy beat him in a fight, Annabeth's got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm honestly I'm surprised on this one that it's a 4-0, but let's say our Annabeth moves on, right? Oh man. All right.
Well, I mean, it's canon in the books
see
that,
where this
the demigods can kind of beat Ares pretty easily. So
look, we can't all be super excited about Annabeth versus Hermione, but I want to see it. But let's get through this one and just see what it's like. KB, who would you get? Who would you put your money on between Hades and Hermione to win the day?
I'm going to say Hermione, and I'm going to tell you why, because this would be another interesting like battle. But if you go for their personalities, how did Snape describe her? Insufferable know-it-all. Hades would get so annoyed with that so fast. He would like, just leave, go away. Don't bother me. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Hermione on that one just because I think it's funny.
Right. She'd be like, "It's Leviosa." All right. He'd be like,
Did
"Just
you
get
know
out of here."
Cerberus means spot?
Right, Cerberus. All right, Hensley, who would you get in this one? Who do you put your money on? Hermione or Hades?
Yes.
What's that?
Like Hermione certainly has the ability to beat Hades for a given period of time. And it also depends on Hades' like interest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Unless there's something that really at stake that matters to Hades, like he's liable to just, like take a couple of her better shots and be like, you know what, I got other things to do.
You think apathy would pretty much just
I got dead people to torment.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm busy. This is stupid. I mean, look, that's fine as a metric. All right. 2 on Hermione on this one.
Yeah, I think Hermione wins that just out of again, depends on what the stakes are. But again, I think Hermione can beat Hades in a specific challenge.
Right.
Provided that the stakes aren't like who gets to keep the realm of the dead.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally, I agree with that for sure. Olin, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm just gonna go with Hermione because I want to see Annabeth versus Hermione.
So. We all do. I mean, look, fair enough, right? But like these are strong arguments we got so far for sure. Yeah. Trinity, what are your thoughts on here?
In the game, so
right. Same thing for you, Trinity. You think the wisdom wins?
Yeah, and like I feel like the whole time too, I'm thinking Hades. Like, why does he always like lose in my head? And it's that flippancy. It's because he really just is like, whatever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of it. That's exactly it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, he doesn't have to care because eventually everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it also makes it so like if Hermione's like there's more at stake and she's really got to get through, she can get through. All right. I mean, look, this sets up our epic clash right here, the one that we all wanted to see, which is Annabeth versus Hermione. Oh man, yeah, I'm not even sure where. I'm trying to think of where I would predict all of you to land on this one.
Not it.
And I do not know. I do not know. I'm still I'm a little upset that Trailer Park Percy's gone, but I think it's the right move. Yeah. So who had the tougher road on this one? We had a Snape, a Harry, and an Aries, and over here we had that was easy. Percy, difficult. Hades, doesn't really care. So I think Annabeth probably had the tougher road to get here. So I'm curious. I'll tell you what. Give me some balanced thoughts on this, but keep your vote in your head for right now, right? Trinity, what are some of your arguments for and against on this one?
If Hermione has time to study and prep and be prepared and plan, she's got a pretty good advantage.
Yep.
Annabeth has that ruthlessness that she just goes for it, and she's been training her whole life for fighting and battle, and
yep,
she's got that going for her.
Yeah, no, that's a look, good points. That's a good one. Olin, what are your immediate, pluses, minuses on these two without giving me your answer?
I feel they're both kind of the same. Like they're both extremely smart and talented and can plan for well. It's just going to be who could be more ruthless at the end of the day for me.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Hensley.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Yeah, like I'm in the same camp with that. They're both pretty well matched in the brains department, and in the equipment department, Annabeth has a magic hat. Hermione has an arsenal of spells to counteract that sort of stuff. So that's kind of a wash for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it does boil down to which one can be more ruthless.
Do you think it would matter where this takes place, where this throwdown happens?
Or who?
But I mean, terrain always matters, right?
For sure.
Like,
I feel like
but there's no place where either of them gets a home court advantage. Like unless it's gonna happen in Hogwarts or Camp Half Blood.
Right. So assuming not there, it's like maybe a I don't know, life size.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I think it's kind of a wash as far as that because they're both, very very bright,
right,
and excellent at strategy and planning and tactics and all of the preparation things.
Yep. Maybe it takes place in the east side of Percy's trailer park. Like Annabeth is really mad that he was dispatched.
On the roof.
She's on the roof of the trailer parks. We're gonna go with like a. That's great. Hermione on the ground. Don't do it, Hermione. I have the high ground. Never mind. Wrong movie. Okay, Katie, what do you think on this one, man?
Okay, here's the thing. They are both very intelligent, very strategic, and very brutal. Like Annabeth's brutality was shown more in the series, but
For sure.
Hermione trapped a woman in a bottle for months just to blackmail her before she let her out. So she's definitely got some ruthlessness in her that it just doesn't get highlighted a whole lot. And I already know who I'm going to pick, and I know why. But this is like Link fighting Dark Link in the Water Temple. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah. So we have this is epic. William is saying Annabeth wins. She's just as smart, just as ruthless. Let's see, but Annabeth is a better fighter. Jacqueline's voting for Hermione on this one. Jesse is bringing up the anti-magic properties of celestial bronze. All right, something to consider. I don't know. Anybody else, if you're in the chat and you want to chime in, feel free to do so. Boy, I don't know on this one. This is just really, really tricky. I would have my vote on this one. I think I've made a decision for me. So let's do this. Let's run it down and just give me your answer. KB, who you got?
I'm picking Hermione, and like I said, for one stupid reason of something that she could do in the books that Annabeth never had the opportunity to do. She can go back in time and just, baby Annabeth, you know what I mean? And it's done.
Right. All right. Valid point, man. So we got one on her. We got one for Hermione. Olin, what are you thinking?
I'm going Annabeth.
Annabeth? Yep.
Yep.
You just think savagery?
Savagery plus the hat. Like, I don't know how she's going to get away from not being able to see her opponent.
Yep. Yep. All right. Hensley, who you got?
I got Hermione.
2-1 Hermione to Annabeth. Any specific reason that you think it like tips it?
I think KB has an excellent point with Hermione being able to do the whole time travel thing. Like baby Annabeth doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, there's that, and we know that.
And Hermione is, and it's not like she has to actually like snuff out baby Annabeth. All she's got to do is kidnap baby Annabeth and drop her off with some different parents.
I'm not saying she'd travel back and have a little pillow over her for crying out loud. That's gross.
To be fair, she ran away from her parents when she was like 5 or something.
She did.
There's that too.
Dropping off to her
All you have
parents.
to do is tweak the circumstances.
Drop her off with some functional parents that actually stick with the kid.
Right.
I mean, her father was fine. Like,
all right. And so Trinity, are you locking this up, or are you tipping it to Hermione?
I'm locking it up.
Oh boy.
It's Hermione. She, like that we're talking about the ruthlessness and everything, and Annabeth wears it on her sleeve. But Hermione, you're right, she does. She's got that, and it's like, but she's sneaky about it, and it's like she'll use that.
Right. Oh man, a tie. Like I don't feel comfortable breaking this tie. I'm just saying. Like I don't. You can't do this to me. But I'll tell you who I would be. For me, it's just really, really even. If I factor in the time thing, I would lean Hermione. If you don't factor in the time thing, I would lean Annabeth on it. Because Annabeth was savage from the start in the entire story, and Hermione not so much. Like she had to get there. So I just feel like there's a little bit more experience there. But I'll tell you what, let's do something else real quick and just run this down. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through this fast, right? So I'm gonna pop you in here, right? And I'm gonna go, Olin, you're right there, and we'll get KB in here, and we'll get Trinity in here, and we'll get Dave in here for right there. All right, so we're gonna go. We're gonna peg this as Hermione, our championship bout, Hermione versus Annabeth on this one, right? And let's give this a rating and say that this is probably going to tip it one way or the other. And I'll tell you what we're going to do in terms of our scoring, right? Zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so right here, let's get it a little closer. Okay, good. All right, so I just want you to go, so dialogue, right? Quality, memorability of a character's lines, the depth and development of a character, so their character arc, narrative impact, how essential they are to the story, how layered, nuanced, or compelling they are, so complexity, and then how iconic the character is, right? So on a scale of 1 to 5, Olin, just give me a rundown. Dialogue, where do you think Hermione is?
A 4, I guess. I haven't read Harry Potter in a while, but
Yep. She's got some lines and things like that. Yep. Okay. What about her character arc?
Character arc, probably about the same. Like, she becomes that more ruthlessness over time.
Yep.
Narrative impact is going to be a 5.
Yeah.
She's kind of big in that, always there, always there.
Yeah. No. Harry'd be dead. For sure. So complexity of Hermione.
Complexity, I don't know where to put in this. Let's go with a 3, I guess. I don't.
Okay.
No.
Yep. And then how iconic do you feel like Hermione Granger?
She's a 5. Like, everyone knows who Hermione is, so
right.
Yeah.
All right. And go ahead and let's run through Annabeth on this one. So her dialogue lines. Where would you put
dialogue? I'll put like a 3.
Yep. Her character arc. So character's journey.
I'll go with the 5 in the character arc because, like, she goes, that kid, she starts to trust things, and then she gets over her fear of spiders.
Right. Right. I forgot about that. Yep.
She fights Spider Queen herself.
Right.
Narrative impact is about the same because Percy would not do anything. She wasn't there.
Exactly.
About a 3 for her too on complexity.
Yep. And then iconic. If you're giving Hermione a 5, where would you put?
Personally, I'd put 5 for Annabeth, but not everyone knows that. So I guess a 4 to round it down.
Okay.
Yep. I'd put her a 5, but
no, fair enough. KB, what are you thinking on this one? For Hermione, dialogue.
I'm going to put her dialogue at 5 just because I actually use some of her lines in real life.
Nice.
And
tell people how to pronounce Leviosa.
I mean, not that one so much. And, the line about punching somebody in the face to get them to shut up is great. But, if I see pictures of me where I'm in the background, I'll be like, is that what I look like from the back? Just mess with me.
Nice.
So,
that's good.
But yeah, she has lines that I actually remember and use quite frequently. So I got to give her.
What about her character arc from start to finish?
She does grow, but she's always been kind of the same type of person. She tries to prove herself through, her intelligence, and that carries through the whole series. So I'm going to give her a 4 on character arc just because I feel like they could have done more with her.
Yep. But I would agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. And narrative impact, definitely a 5. Like, the series wouldn't have had 7 books if she wouldn't.
For sure. Do you think she's complex and nuanced?
I am going to have to say 5 on that because there's always something going on in her head, whether it's relevant to what's, happening in the scene or not. She's always plotting,
right,
5 steps ahead. I don't know why she couldn't beat Ron in Wizard's Chess, but, and
is she iconic to you? What do you
icon status is definitely a 5 because I've never said the word Hermione to anybody and they didn't know who I was talking about.
Exactly. Right.
So,
all right. So on Percy Jackson, if we're going to Annabeth, what do you give her on dialogue?
I got to give her a 5 too because she has got a mouth on her. That's
good,
and I love it. Like,
yep, for sure.
You weren't talking crap to Annabeth. Like, she's coming right back at it.
What about the character arc on her?
Character arc, I'm gonna have to give her 4. She had a good character arc, but it was really similar to a lot of the other characters in the story. You know, I have issues with my mortal parents. I have issues with my divine parent.
Yeah, yeah.
They both suck, but I love them so much. Like, you know,
All right. And
narrative impact, she's definitely a 5. Same reason
okay,
as Hermione. There wouldn't have been the series would have ended way sooner if it wasn't for her.
for sure.
Complexity, I'm gonna give her a 3 because, like I said, she has the same basic parent issues and wanting to prove herself as an individual that every
Yep.
other member of the cast has in that book.
Right.
And while she is a great strategist, like they don't highlight that enough in the Percy Jackson series
I
itself
would
for me. Like
agree.
when you get
Yep.
to some of the later series, I haven't read the 2 newest books, but you know, when you see her in like Magnus Chase and the Heroes of Olympus, like she shines a little bit more, but in the original 5 Percy Jackson books, I feel like they just could have done more character, you know,
Yep.
with her. And icon status, I got to give her a 5 because she's my favorite character from the series. So.
There you go. Yep. Yep. I hear you. All right, Trinity, you're up next. And what do you think on dialogue for Hermione? Where you put her?
I give her a 5 for dialogue. It's just perfect for her. Like it's just right.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, she's a really well written character. Like there's no doubt about it. What about her character arc?
Yeah, KB made a good point. She stays kind of generally the same throughout. Like there's not a crazy arc there, so I'll go with 4.
Okay. And her narrative impact, how essential she is to the story?
5.
I mean, that's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And complexity for Miss Hermione?
5.
5.
Yeah. She's yeah.
She's got some nuance for sure.
Like yeah.
And iconic?
5.
Oh, 5. Yeah. No, look, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I see all of these arguments for sure. So in terms of Annabeth for dialogue, where would you put her?
I'd probably put her at a 4. She's
Okay.
not as like vocal. She kind of pipes up when it's like you shouldn't do that or we have to do this. It's
Right.
not a whole lot of banter kind of comic dialogue.
Yep. And her arc?
Gonna go with a 5. We'll go with a 5. She grows a lot.
We should do a 5. Yep, she does.
Yeah.
So narrative impact, how essential to the story? Again, I'm guessing we're gonna hit a 5 on this one.
Oh, I was gonna say 4.
4? All right, no, that's fair. Why would you knock her down 1 on this?
I feel like Grover, like the pair, the trio, the 3 of them played a good like role, but there were moments that she wasn't there, and it was okay.
Hey, you know what? No, that's very fair for sure. What about her layered, nuanced, compelling? What would you give her for complexity?
I'd say 5.
Yep.
Probably. As far as like, I mean, we're going down the route of like boy troubles, you know, and she's women in our minds just work. They're always working. It's complex.
It is complex. And iconic. Do you feel like she's as iconic as Hermione?
No, I'd say 4.
4 on that one. All right.
Yeah. I don't want
to. All right, Hensel, you're up.
Lower.
Dialogue on Hermione. Where do you put it?
I could give Hermione's dialogue a 5. Like she has a lot
She
of
does.
memorable lines, both from the books and then on the screen adaptation.
What about her character arc? Do you think she's just a little flat, or do you think she's got the 5 arc?
I think she's got a 5 arc. Like she definitely has a development. Yep. Like it's not like she doesn't start as low as Harry, and then have the you know, like she starts out much more competent than Harry, but she ends up with an arc where her competence doesn't really help her in the areas that she needs it to. Like she has to develop personally in order, you know, like that ability to cut ties with everything so that they can win.
Makes sense.
Is a pretty important
hard to disagree with. What about narrative impact? How essential she is to the story? Yeah, she's 5.
She's a 5.
Right. Complexity for Hermione. How nuanced do you feel like she is?
Like I hate to give her 5 again, but
I mean, like
I think that she's very nuanced.
Yeah, like it's
a very nuanced.
No. I mean, it's the honest rating. That's what we're going for. And iconic. You think she's a 5 across the board?
She falls in love with the ginger.
Yeah, right. All right, so 10. Yeah. So iconic. Obviously, this has got to be a 5. Yeah, all right, so 5s across the board for Miss Hermione. And what about Annabeth? Where are you putting this one? It's for dialogue.
Like, I think Annabeth's dialogue is. I mean, my problem is that I haven't read enough of the books to compare Annabeth in character in the books, which is a disservice to the
Right.
character if you're comparing screen adaptations to the book
For
version
sure.
of Hermione.
For sure.
Like, but Annabeth does have some decent lines. Overall, I would give her a 5 for dialogue, actually.
Yep. And character arc for Annabeth?
I gotta give her a 4.
And narrative impact, so how essential to the story? She's 5.
No, she's 5.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the core trio, it's for sure.
Yeah.
Complexity, nuance, how compelling is Annabeth?
Actually, I give her a 5. She's got a very gritty story arc.
And then how iconic? If you're putting Hermione at a 5, where do you put Annabeth?
I think Annabeth's a 4.
All right, which brings us down to a final score. So we're going our core. So icon status is like a bonus, right? So on the core, we had 1 point up for Hermione. On the icon status, we had 23.5 to a 21.8. And I'm going to let that be our tiebreaker and say that Hermione is going to win the day on this one. If I can find her thing right here. Yep, there it is.
Can I just say how great I think it was that we had to break it down and use charts and logic to figure out these two characters?
That's pretty good.
I mean, let's.
And I may have a different opinion of Hermione after I go and read the Percy Jackson novels.
We'll give some cheers for Hermione here to win it. I don't know, like, was there any matchup in here that you would want to see that we didn't do? Would you go like, I don't know, Snape versus Hades?
Dude,
like,
you had me set up for Snape versus Medusa with a
I
joke
know.
you made or something. And I was like, I wonder if Aquamancy would block the magic that turns people to stone. And like, I went down this whole rabbit hole with that. And then it's like, oh, he's fighting Annabeth. Okay.
You can't get Snape versus Hades because they would both.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it really wouldn't. Yeah, there's that one. I don't know. I mean, like, out of all of these, I think
like they both get bored and wander off.
I think the big winner is obviously Trailer Park Percy Jackson through this whole thing. And I am immediately going to go to X and post that, by the way.
Yeah. Clearly he's got a Camaro with a rusty door hinge and a child support payment.
He fixed up his stepdad's Camaro from the first book when the Minotaur destroyed.
He's riding a wave through the park, like Freebird solo is going in the background. Oh man, he's brilliant, right?
He uses super soakers and actual guns, just makes the water come out and makes around somebody's head.
Let's see. Jesse was disagreeing with us here. He said Hermione has 5 dialogue, but rating her over or even with Annabeth and complexity and arc is a disservice. And he says, "Boo! I demand a recount." Well, sir, you're going to be able to come on here. I've got Jesse on a couple episodes coming up when we do. We're going to be doing and Dave, you're going to be on that one too when we do Last Dragon versus Big Trouble in Little China. Man, I can't wait. And then we've got an Arnold versus Sly coming up that Jesse's going to be hanging out with me on. Freebird. Yep.
Freebird.
And then we're going to be doing a Sin City versus Pulp Fiction, which should be a hoot too. And I've got Sledge coming on that one, Sledge versus Books, Nick Horvath. That's going to be super fun. Well, thank you, folks. I don't know. I any other matchup like I would think here is like, yeah. I mean, like I saw the matchups that I really wanted to see through this whole thing. I mean, maybe like Neville versus Weasley would have been fun.
I completely forgot about Nico, and he was like one of my favorite characters. So I'm like, how could I forget about Nico?
I know.
I was expecting Nico or Grover, to be honest.
I know. Yeah. That was a thing. Like I had to make some decisions on those characters, and I was thinking of putting Nico on instead of Luke, but I was like, nah, Luke is just like kind of irritating, so I'd rather have him on there.
I was expecting Grover versus Ron.
Well, that's what I'm saying with these. Like, you can do all of the B characters, right? You can have Moaning Myrtle versus, whoever. Like, you can have all of that weird. Dobby could be in here. Like the House Elf Throwdown or whatever. There's all sorts of fun stuff that could be had. What about Dobby?
That's my husband there. It's probably my daughter asking.
You know,
She's like,
yeah,
"Where's Dobby?"
I know. Dobby would have won for sure.
Dobby versus
Dobby
Grover.
versus
Right.
Hades would have been the best one ever. Yeah, look, lots of fun to be had, but it's really nice to sit here with some storytellers and just kind of dig into, like, you know, what these characters, what they mean, what they've meant to these franchises and to fans and people and all over the Grover versus Hagrid. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this Hagrid.
I know. Yeah, Hagrid could have made it in here for sure.
Hey man, listen, they're both used to dealing with centaurs, so there's something there.
This is true.
They both
You
love
gotta get
animals.
friends versus
They'll just go
Chiron.
off by themselves.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
close this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
close this this screen out for now and just get us back on here. And I'm gonna give you just your signing off 30-second thing, and just remind us where we can find you, what you're working on, or whatever else. And Trinity, we'll start with you and go for it.
Okay, I'm like my books you're talking about, yeah.
Sure.
I'm author of the Guardians of the World of Firestone series. I've got them both here actually. They're Bloodbound and Unbound, and they're available anywhere online. You can go to Amazon or just look up my name, and basically you get your options. And I'm working on the third book in the trilogy right now to wrap up the series. So
Awesome, wonderful. Yep. And as with everybody, I've got links in the description of the video. So all you got to do is head over. It's the videos posted on Rumble. It's on 2 different YouTube channels. And you guys are all in there with your, links to your sites and stuff like that. Olin, go ahead and close it out for us.
I'm on X under Jen Kazusa. I have a book on Amazon you can find, Blood Moonlight, Legacy of Embers. It's the Percy Jackson Vampire Diaries inspired type thing. It has gods, vampires, all that. Book 2 should be coming out sometime this year, in the next couple of months. It's going to be a 4-book series, so that's fun to look forward to. Yeah, it's on Amazon under Olin Moon.
So Olin, if I decide to do a Vampire Diaries versus Buffy the Vampire Slayer, would you jump on?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I was thinking either that or maybe just like a general vampires versus werewolves one would be.
Need like a
supernatural.
Okay. Yeah. No,
yeah.
That just means that I have to, like, I'm going to have to, Jackie always, she's watched Vampire Diaries, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times through all the way. I've never seen it. I'm a Buffy guy. And so she's like, well, you're just going to have to sit through it and then, like, apparently decide whether it's like Stefan or Damon who I am in love with. Like, I'm not sure. Is that what everybody does when they watch Vampire Diaries? I don't know.
I see Vampire Diaries, but it's more of the Legacies, which is the sequel to Vampire Diaries.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like the daughter of Klaus Michelson's.
Look, there she is. She heard me say it from the other room, and she's like, "Wait, somebody say Vampire Diaries." Yeah.
I'm more of a blade vampire.
All right, Hensley, close it out for me.
So you can find me at davidwhensley.com. You can find me at David Hensley Writes on Facebook and D Hensley Writes on Twitter. I've got a couple of books out on Amazon, and I am just took up a position with Canon Publishing as the science fiction, as the editor for science fiction.
Awesome.
For those guys.
And congrats on that. Sorry you got to deal with Holmes that much, but that's fantastic, man. Where do you have the time? Goodness gracious. All right, KB, close it out for me.
You can find me at my website's kbcarlisle.com. If you look up KB Carlisle on pretty much any social media, I'm there as well. I'm wrapping up the final book of my Emergence trilogy. It will be available soon. And the Book of Rose and Dreams of Gemini are out on Amazon right now. Book of Rose won the Imagine Award for Best Young Adult Novel of the Year last year, so apparently people like it. I don't know. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, excellent. And just to answer this one, Jay, I do this one every 2 weeks, so it's every second Friday. And our next one is going to be it's Last Dragon versus Big Trouble in Little China. We've got up next. So for the regular Mirthquake show and my interviews, I do those every Tuesday. We just do the Storyteller Smackdown every other week because it's a lot to prepare for. And then Tuesday I've got Jared Michaud on, and then the Tuesday after that I've got Raconteur on Mirthquake, dragging Ian into the spotlight, which should be a hoot as well. So, folks, thank you very much, and thank you all for being in the chat and hanging out with us and all of that. Greatly appreciated. This was super fun. Congrats to Hermione for winning the day. Really close, and I love it. I loved being able to dig into the story with all of you and just hear some of your arguments and how knowledgeable you are over all of this kind of stuff, and just kind of celebrate this all as authors. So thank you all. I'm going to have you guys hang out for just a moment so I can say bye in the green room. I'm just going to play a video, play us out, close down the stream. So good night, everybody, and appreciate you all, and I'll see you on the next one. We're going to go ahead and play it out. Here we go.